How are you guys doing? Welcome. So I am looking for my other glove. So since you guys saw me last live stream, I was welding and grinding this back here. Knock that eye kind of like off center. So I've got all this welded. I had the what you saw last was I was taking the 1/4 inch round and I was curving it by hand and placing it in here. And I spent a day welding and a day grinding. And now that I've got the first, and this is what I call the initial weld, it's the first weld, first grind. So that's like the biggest, it's like the hardest part of it where you're, like, it's the most grinding of all of it, right? Hopefully, man, if I do my job right, that's the most grinding of all of it. But what happens next is now what happened is, and I started to, and I made a mess of it. So I was like, man, what a great teaching moment this is. For myself so much is hello, is it Dima? Hello Dima or Dima, hello, how are you, welcome. So I figured what a great teaching moment this is as I continue to make mistakes before I go too far. So what I'm doing is once this initial welding and grinding is done, I go back in and this is where you fill in all the spots, all the low spots, all the like, I've got all these low spots in here that you can see. See where it's like missing, so I'm like, you don't want to dig in too deep. So what I do is after this spot is I will go back in and I will weld all these low spots. Now, what also happens is, in some spots, because of me grinding down, so as I'm doing this, I've got a 1/4 inch to play with. This is 1/4 inch round bar, this is what I use. And so I have a 1/4 inch of material in which to dig down into and create shapes. This is one of the reasons why I'm using, this is one of the many reasons I'm using round bar to sculpt. People say, why aren't you using sheet? You can, but man, I really love the physically digging down into the metal and sculpting. So I build something up and then I sculpt it back down a little bit. Sometimes a lot, and sometimes I go through the material because I've like ground down too much. Thank you, David. Thank you so much for the love. I'm grateful for you. So, in the case of over here, when remember I'm welding from both sides. I'm welding on the outside and the inside. I've blown holes through right here. I'm going to show you this, and this eye may fall off today. I really ought to just take the eye off because it's getting wobbly. I've knocked it Kerouac, but this is, thank you, Tom. OG Tom. I love it. Tom, my LinkedIn name is the OG Barbie, or it's either the OG Barbie or OG Barbie. One of them. So, I love it. Also, the OG, right? So, I welded from both sides, welded this on both sides, and also ground on both sides, right? And sometimes when I do this, I'll blow holes through. Now this is me trying to fix it this morning. You saw this gobbledygook? I got frustrated this morning and I had to take a step back. Just, this sculpture has deeply been, it's just been an emotional experience for me. Let's just put it that way. All of them are, but this one just so much more than others just because of. So what I've forgotten was my frustration. I figured I was going to teach all while I'm going through it, right? Because sometimes I have to remember my own dang lessons. I don't always do all of what I know how to do. So what you see here is one of my favorite tools for my shop. Besides my brain, that's my favorite. This is a piece of copper. When you're welding steel, you can use copper as a backer, put it behind it, too, and I have to, in this case, I have to go back through and grind this down, or I have to put this on from the front side. So what you do is you can weld through a hole up against this. So for instance, you've got a hole, you've got a plug weld, you put the copper at the back of the hole, and then you weld through here. That copper will not stick to the steel, and you can literally just weld right onto it. It works also the same way for aluminum. You can weld aluminum directly onto copper, and I'll show you how to do that someday. Like, remind me. Tapani, hello, how are you? Oh, welcome, my friend. So, with the copper on back of the hole, you can weld steel into, and you want to aim for the steel inside that. But you aim for that steel inside of that hole, and then you can weld, and that copper will create a flat back. So you don't have all these boogers. Can you guys see this mess that I made this morning? I thought I had a small spot. I thought I was just going to go zip, zip, zip around the edge and clean it up, and man, it just kept falling through, and then instead of stopping, because sometimes I know better, and then don't listen to my own know better, right? It's important to listen to your know better. It was not, Tyler, it was not. So if you guys have questions, email me, I love that. So I didn't do the copper thing, and I was like, as I'm blowing this thing out, I'm like, what a great time to teach. So here I am, teaching myself, and y'all can just follow right along as I'm learning, I know better. So I'm going to clean this up. It's going to get noisy, turn the volume down so I don't hurt your eardrum. I'm going to put my ear pluggers in. I'm going to grind this down, and the copper backer, I'm going to hold that on there, and I'm going to weld that, which actually I can do this from the opposite way, and I actually might be able to, I'll grind it. So I'm going to get this cleaned up, and then I'm going to show you how to use this copper piece here. I got a couple of spots, and it happens. It's just part of how I create. So I was just grinding down too much, so I created this. What I did is I created the shape in the top that I thought was going to look good, but then after, like, this, sometimes you just see things after you do it, and it looks, it seemed like a good idea at the time, kind of thing, and it just wasn't. So. Also, while I got you guys here, if you guys are welders and have been welding, I'm looking for a new brand of welding helmet, or just a new welding helmet. I've been using the same ones 15 years, and so I'm looking for new technology. I did not go to Fab Tech this year, and every time I go to Fab Tech, I still just don't go and check out other welding helmets because I totally have been married to my welding helmet, my baby, Chunko here, my buddy. Partly because it's American flag, partly because I just big viewing area. It protects my neck. It's long. I love that. I'm like really particular about it. I've been married to this helmet for the longest time. Man, it's definitely not operating the way that it used to, and so I'm looking for something else. So if you guys have a recommendation, I would love that. I want something that I want to hear how it's been used in the field. It needs to be abused. It needs to be able to go through a little bit of abuse because I'm definitely tough on stuff. 15 years, man. Can you guys believe that? It's amazing. Friggin' love it. And look at do you know how many miles of like welding rod wire I've seen through this? I wish there was like a welding rod odometer kind of thing in there. Wouldn't that be gnarly? Alright, things I think about. People are like, oh, how many rolls of wire? I'm like, I don't know, all of them? All of them. Alright, turn the volume down, it's about to get noisy. Thank you so much for being here with me, it means the world to me. Yes, Tyler, it was, thank you. It definitely, I love the questions that you asked. Oh yeah, so check this out. And listen, I've been using this, I love this. I want to show you guys something. And listen, I'm not going to recommend this new thing that I'm using yet. When y'all see me use stuff in like pictures that I'm actually, like, when you guys see me using stuff, it's because I use it. I'm not getting paid for it, it's because it's stuff I found that I like, that it works. So, people have been talking to me about my, I've got a massive ventilation system above me. People have been posing questions to me about the grinding, and I appreciate you guys more than I can ever put into words. Like, I've been doing this for years. I don't know what's in these grinding discs that I'm using. I don't know the chemical stuff behind the welding. I don't know what's in it. And so I'm constant on like making sure. I've been doing better and better. How about this? I've been doing better and better at making sure I'm safe. Like, I've been using one of these for years. I love my face shield over glasses, both of them. but I will still get hit in the face every now and then with things. Also, Tyler was one of them. Thank you, Tyler. Like, I've had a couple people post questions about respiratory, and I feel like this is like this giant, like this is an industrial like ventilation system. It's literally built for. I think it's a restaurant hood. Like, this thing sucks because it does not suck, right? Like, it doesn't suck because it does suck. I said that opposite. It doesn't suck because it doesn't. It works, right? Like, it works. And so, I'm just like, definitely thoughtful about my lungs, man. I want to be doing this for forever, like, till I draw my last breath, which I want to be like a nice, full, beautiful lungs, pink lungs, and fresh air, right? So I bought a new face shield. I'm not going to recommend it yet. I just, so you guys know this, like this one, highly recommend, but also I'm now working on safer, some kind of breathing protection, but also it's hotter than Satan's taint here, so I'm not trying to like suffocate in all of this. So I bought something, I found it on Amazon 2 days ago, yesterday, and they delivered it yesterday. So, low key, like, they should start paying me for keeping them in business single-handedly. But I did put on this new mask. I don't know if I'm gonna like it or not, so just don't go out and buy shit just yet. Right? I mean, like, if it's good, I'll let you know, but also we'll see. And now it's broken. Just kidding, I hope it's stronger than that. I told you stuff needs to be tough. Like, literally, like, the first thing I do is, like, drop something. So, I just haven't even done this yet. But this offers, and like I said, I don't know if I'm going to like this or not. It's supposed to be, which it's full, pretty much a gas mask, right? But also, like, it's about the, I want a one and all thing. I don't want to have to sit here and take on, I put on safety glasses, and I put on my hat. I put on, like, I've got a hat that I wear to keep the grinding gas out of my hair, and then I put on this and put on that. It's super time consuming, like, every time I'm doing this stuff. So because this is my full time, like, as a business owner, I'm like, I don't want to, like, 30 seconds to take stuff on and take it off is 30 seconds. Life energy, it's my life. I'm like, I don't want to, if you think about that, every time I switch stuff out, I'm like, if I can find, like, a welding helmet that is also, like, welding helmet, face protection, breathing protection, maybe I should design this, right? Do we have any inventors here? No one help. With designing stuff together. What's all of this mask I just bought? How does it look greasy? Man, it is like NASCAR ripoffs. I wonder if it's got those. I like the NASCAR drivers. It'd be super cool. I'm 1% smarter than what I'm working with here. Just do something. Man, I have to read the effing instructions. I'm so sad. Okay, so they just we just breaking stuff. This might be a bit much as far as, like, I don't even know. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully it's a lot easier than jamming stuff on and off. Oh, this is rather boring. Sorry, guys. They end up leaving the little thing out here and try to suck through paper. Oh, very cool. It's a nice screen filter. Now, is that a welding helmet, a grinding helmet, or both? Is that like a jam? Like, let me know what that is. I'm interested. Very, very interested in. Like I said, I have not Tech would have been the perfect place to go and find something Suppose this one came with extra little latches. I didn't know that. Also, they come with extra, like these little clips and stuff. It has a few extra clips. I'm like, do they have that because it's just, they break? Right? Oh, cool. Yeah, that was the thing. I'm like, can I do this without ripping my freaking face off too? Because of like just having all this stuff, trying to put these things on and off. But keeping your hair back, I'm like, I know I'm not the only one with long hair trying to weld and stuff. Definitely greasy to look through. Look at what's on there. Now I gotta look my face. I will look into that. Thank you very, very much.
I like the idea of this because of keeping my eyes safe, man. I just keep bending over trying to get it. That's all the video.
Welcome! The frickin' frick. Those creepers, man.
What the heck the noise thing is doing? I lost count. Oh. I feel so safe. Let's see how this goes. Well, boy, this is going to be shenanigans. light's coming in. Right here. It's not. Look, I am my father. Yeah, this don't fit my face. I can definitely, really see it. That sucks because this is, as far as like being able to see, it's wonderful. I've got a great view. Definitely, and it doesn't feel like I'm struggling to breathe. Which is nice, but it just don't fit my face. It's too big. It's nice and it's got all this here. I was wondering if I could end up with like a bunch of grinding dust like sitting up in here. Not my nose. Okay, completely not a fan.
Man, good thing I don't have to take that off in an emergency. Now, very much, maybe I could like adjust it differently. I'll have to play with it and see if I can adjust it differently to fit a little bit more snugger. Completely want to protect my lungs a little bit better than I have for I've been. Yes! Oh, that one's gnarly, definitely. Alright, so what we got going on here is, after copious amounts of welding and copiouser amounts of grinding, I've got this bottom initially like welded all the way around. First weld, first grind. It takes some time. So got that done. And what happens is sometimes after the first weld and first grind, I grind a lot, grind a little bit too much off. And this happens. I'm grinding from both sides, and I'm working to achieve a smooth shape. Now, in my setup, or in our setup, as we do any of this, the more you do it, the better you get, but you still have, like there's still always, right, like 15 years of welding and grinding, fabrication, sculpting, 10 years of sculpting. And it's still, like, I still blow holes through stuff because I'm trying to achieve a certain shape, and I will just grind down extra. And I know that I'm going to like grind through it. It's fine because I know how to weld. And so never be, always work to try to get your shape as close to perfection or close to where you want it. But also, as you work through stuff that looks good, when you first do it, it might not look good. Later on, you might need to change it. So I thought these shapes in here, and I'm going to have to just work through it because this is what happens. I thought these shapes would look good if I had some movement like this to this surface. I have done this, it doesn't look good. So now I am re-sculpting it. And by doing that, I mean blowing holes through things and grinding holes in things and then re-welding it. So, if you have a giant hole to fill, this is your best friend. This is a piece of copper. You can have thin copper, you can have thicker copper on a piece of copper plate that is 1/2 inch thick plate that is 12 inches by 12 inches. You can do this. This works for steel, it works for aluminum. I've never done this with stainless, so I can't tell you it works with stainless. Like, play with it yourself. This is, do your own, like, have I done this with stainless? I don't think I have, but steel and aluminum, so I can literally take that, and that's the whole reason I got that copper plate, is you can literally weld aluminum straight onto copper. It will not stick. Copper is what I use for backing. So behind, I put it behind the ginormous hole. Now you can fill a hole by just going around the hole slowly and just welding around, welding around, welding it in smaller and smaller. It works, but you will also drop material down behind it. And if you don't have anything behind it, like if you don't have something, if that spot's not going to be seen, now obviously you always want to take care of all your stuff, but also the back of this is the outside. So like I can't just drop a big bubble of weld down below it, and it needs to be smooth on both sides. So in this case, it's not here. Like you could do something like that. Like here, I want this to be one smooth movement coming up, and so I am putting the copper behind it in order to create a flat surface behind there for that weld to go onto. And that way, because I'm going to have to come in from the back and weld that too. And so what I'm basically doing is making about 16th, I'm making a 16th plate right here. So basically just using copper and just making a flat surface. Like, am I fighting with everything today? I feel like I'm fighting with everything today. I'm going to just stop fighting with stuff. Ugh. Alright, as I bonk my head off of stuff. That's this today in a nutshell. Happy Monday. Current mood. Alright. So placing the copper, it's going to get hot, so you're going to want to watch yourself. We're going to place this copper behind it. Watch your eyes. Just holding it here behind it, and then I'm going to hit this with the MIG weld right at the edge of the hole. And that copper will stop it, and it'll keep it flat. Now give me just a second, and I'll show you. It works two ways. It's a heat sink. So now you can see, over here to the front, swing the partner around and around, wait for it. So right here, don't touch it, boink. Right here is where I just welded, is that small nickel shape. You can see I got a ton more, like that's just all. I got Swiss cheese here that I've created for myself. But also this is going to give me that smooth shape. So let's look at the back side of this. The other side where I held the copper. And this is what I'm talking about. Now it is bonked out a little bit. Alright, you can see how it's out just a little bit. And there. But hey, electric guy, how are you? Welcome. So what I'll do is I'll end up grinding this on. I'm like grinding. Look at this is the international symbol for grinding. So sorry for doing that to you. I talk with my hands. You're getting all the movements. So I will get that. Once that copper, like so, because it's a heat sink, it's also really fantastic if you are like as a backing piece. Also works to draw heat out of stuff. So if you're welding something and don't want to, you want to keep the heat away from what you're welding, that copper works phenomenal for that also. You just, clamp it on and it will, hello Matthew, thank you. Yeah, just clamp that on and that works as a heat sink. It'll pull the heat out. It's wonderful. So this will cool off and I'll just move over to another spot and I'm just going to slowly build that, like making sure I'm building it up on this side and building it up on that back side. So if I do my weld enough, there'll be very little welding on the back side. I just have to grind it a little bit. There'll be a little bit of a couple of pinholes I'll have to fill and hopefully they'll come through like that. So as I'm fixing this, like I said, like so after the first weld and the first grind, like here's another spot that and listen, don't be afraid to grind too far. Here's the thing, like if there's a shape that you want, and this is why I end up with holes and stuff, is like there's a shape I want, so I will grind down to where that shape is. If I grind a hole in there, look, I'm a freaking welder, I will weld it back closed. Don't be scared. Don't be scared, right? Don't be scared with your grinder. Go after it. Now be safe with your stuff, but go after the shape that you want. Don't worry about going too far because again, you could just fill it back in. Like I said, when I first started this, I thought like having that shape be bumpy and like have that, like I thought having like more flow in it like this sideways. What I'm talking about is this. Get you guys so you see what I'm talking about there. So when I first did this piece here, this is not flat. It's like Ruffles has ridges. It's like this all the way across. Low, high, low, high, low. And man, when I first made it, I was like, ooh, all this movement's going to be wonderful. No, it's not. This needs to be smooth coming up here. So this is what I'm talking about. I've never made this before. I don't know. I know what it's going to look like when I'm done, but also like I thought that movement would look good. But this is just playing with different stuff, right? Like I'm playing with ideas. Don't be afraid to experiment. In fact, you better be experimenting. You better be experimenting because that's what being an artist is. Like I implore you to copy me at first because that's how we learn, right? Like copy what I'm doing, but also it's your job to find your own voice as an artist and to go out and like I copied completely did. That's how we learn. But then it's also like listening to yourself and like moving towards what you feel is right for style. Your like the 1/4-inch round bars and my style. It's what I found works for me. Now I don't know if anyone else is doing it, but it works for me. You might start with that and then find that like just doing sheet works for you better, or find a whole new way to create. And like that's what we do as artists is we play and we experiment. It's just our job to, right? Like it's our job to push. No, it's our job to push. I like that. I'll just stick with that. It's our job to push what we're doing, or what our boundaries are, or what our, just experiment and play and figure it out. So just don't be scared to grind holes through stuff. Like go out there and grind holes through stuff so you can learn how to fix it. Because you actually might find that grinding holes through stuff is an art style that works. It ends up being like your whole entire art style, right? So it's just a matter of playing with this different stuff. So, yeah, that copper back sink it completely is it's completely a fantastic way to get back the shape I want and grind holes through stuff. Now that the copper piece is cooled down, I'm going to fix a couple more. Just make sure your copper is all the way up against that hole, and that'll create a nice solid back. second piece, and I don't want to cut that in half. I've had that piece for friggin' years. So that will allow you to just build that up and keep, another way to do that is you just come back to the back side, back and forth. So. And made this area really thin because it wasn't the shape I wanted, so coming back through there, I just, you can cut that out. There's a lot of different ways to do that. I just grind it down to where I want it, and then I just know I can fill it in with weld and create material just with the welding wire. I could, which this is going to end up being thin. I want this to be thin. I want it to look like liquid, so that it works. I could come back in with, I've got a big hole here. I can cut that out and put a little shape, it's really shape in there, or I can just fill it in with weld. It just, sometimes I do one way, sometimes I do another. There's just not, there's so many different ways you can do stuff to fix it. This bigger piece here, I've cut out just a little bit of the metal that's in there. I can put this piece of cord rich in there, put my copper behind it to hold it flat, and then just weld around that, and it gives me a lot less area to weld. I do have a bigger spot here that I've ground out. This piece in here, and it works to fill it in, and I can weld on either side. I still need this copper piece at the top, and that is just like this small piece that I'm using for backing. It's going to act as a heat sink, which I don't need the heat sink for it so much, as more just as a flat surface, so that the metal doesn't you fill so my welding wire isn't going and creating big bubbles on the back side. This will stop it. It'll give it a surface to stop against. Splashing my phone. I've welded my phone like 3 times now, I'm pretty sure. I mean this week. Alright, there you go. You guys did a good view. Tools. I have a Milwaukee, let's see, what is that? 1/4 inch, I got a Milwaukee 1/4 inch drive cordless ratchet that I dig. But I've not messed with. I do have a 4.5 inch grinder that's cordless. I've got up at my bus up in Daytona that I've used to fix the hanger on my exhaust bracket. But I've not used it extensively, so I don't know like battery life. Like I've used a couple of couple of things, but not too much. Like the electric ones are, I really dig these. I have a few pneumatic tools I absolutely love. My air compressor is not in the shop at this time, and so I can't run my pneumatic tools, which is like all my little burbits and all like the small detail tools. So I've gone to electric tools. Lunch? Later or now?
I'm gonna go let the dog out and be back. I'll go let the dog out and be back.
Alright, cool. Y'all got 10 minutes and the lunch break's on. Like, the one thing I will stop welding for is food. Well, there's a couple of things I'll definitely stop welding for. Food is one of them. We'll keep it PG. Look at that cup. So I've got this piece in here. And we'll let that spot pull off. I get impatient and I end up working the same area too much and it ends up blowing holes through. So, like, I swear to God, like, I just talked to a good friend the other day, and he says, I'm only doing 20% of what I know how to do. And man, if that don't ring true in my life, so knowing, food, I know, right? Knowing that, it's just like, stop and slow down. Like, I can work up here, there's like, I've got holes and little divots and pit marks everywhere, and for some reason I just end up working this one spot, and it ends up making a whole lot more work for myself. So in taking my own advice, I will over here and just let that spot cool off a little bit and give it a minute. And it's just this is part of the process, is moving around and getting the spots. Like, here's some low spots. Start hitting the low spots, getting a little bit of weld in there, getting that taken care of. And I can just move to a lot of outside spots here that need to be filled in and ground. So I'm just going to go around with the MIG and just sit here, and I am going to fill in these low spots and spots that need to be repaired. Nope. Nope. Here. Nope. You hear that noise? It says nope. This is you will not weld here. You shall not pass. That's going to be a little bit more of a challenge there. So I've got a spot here that's thin that I need to fill in, but there's no way to get behind it. So it's just a matter of I will push weld sideways into it until I get to a spot that has some stability. I have to actually create the metal coming across. So just slowly welding into it until it's solid. Okay, that might take a while. Can you guys hear the difference? Like your welding, like the sound of it is just as important as the look of it, but like you can hear it. Like before, like honestly, you can hear it before you see it. Definitely a blowout. It's a blowout sale. Yep, it happens. You have to be not scared to have that happen. You know, you just work at it and you take your time. You're thoughtful about where you place the metal. You'll fix it. And it's just, you know, welding's not. A lot of times online you see people welding and like it's under perfect circumstances, which you want to make your circumstances as good as dang possible, but most welding isn't under like the most perfect of all circumstances. You have people that just, you know, they weld pipe all day long and it's just one thing. And most of welding is like you're welding in all different types of positions, different surfaces, techniques, just everything. And so you just have to just take your time and just, work through the problems. It's that simple. Little baby steps, little Barbie bites, little tiny bites, big hole that I ground into the surface of this sculpture. So what had happened was, I wanted this shape. I wanted this smooth shape, and it just ended up being down a little bit lower than what my material was. And so in my grinding, I ground the hole through here. Now, with my weld, as I tried welding over here, it just keeps moving forward and moves out, moves out, moves out. If you guys are welding on, if you guys are doing like auto body welding on old things, like old motorcycles, old cars, this is what you're dealing with, is the Swiss cheese. So this is how and again, your results may vary, everyone has their own way of doing things. I am welding. See how I have the hole is here, but I'm welding. I'm taking my MIG weld and I'm MIG welding out here. My expensive pointer here. So the hole is here. I tried welding here. I was trying to, what I was doing is MIG welding aiming my weld into this material here. You can see it's just breaking away. Here's a little piece of chicken. Here's a piece of wire that's down in there, get that out. So I'm trying to weld into this, but it's too thin, it just keeps going out. And so what I did was I moved over a quarter of an inch here and started putting MIG weld straight down onto the surface of the material. You can see MIG weld good, MIG weld good, MIG weld good, and then there's a hole right here. So I just moved out and I went around here. So what I'm doing is I'm looking for solid ground. I'm putting this weld down, not only looking for it, but also creating it. I know that weld, it's not going to go past this. I have, like, if I keep welding over here and this keeps melting away, this will stop it. It's almost like setting a forest fire to stop forest fires from burning. If you guys understand that reference, I'm just creating this spot where the material will not blow away. So I'm actually putting weld and material down here. So I'm doing that. I'm going to create this ring around here that's going to give me a stopping point for the material. It's creating that material. And then I'm going to go back in and fill this in slowly. So see if I can get this where you can see what I'm doing. And I'm also now welding my phone. All right, let's see. Get you some of that, guys. Thank you so much for being here. All right, and you guys can see what I'm doing here. So I'm going to same thing. I'm just going to create that solid ground around the outside of that. Hopefully, you'll be able to hear it. If you listen, you can hear where it has like that hollow echo behind it. That means I haven't had the ground. You can hear the difference in the weld. So as I'm doing this, listen to the weld. It'll help you as you're welding to make sure your weld's with the sound of it. You'll know. So you can hear that. There we go. I'm going to let that spot cool off. Over here is my other spot where I'm using the top in the copper, use that. And that copper, use that, and that's a heat sink, and it's also a backing plate so that your weld doesn't go dripping down on everything. It stays nice and tucked up against your material, because I gotta come back there and I gotta grind that into a nice smooth shape also. So putting that copper flat behind that, and this is a curve, so let's that copper there, then I can just weld right into that hole and that won't drip behind it. And also blow another hole through. Today must just be a holy day. So, like, this is just completely the truth of sculpting, right? I want you to see this. This is wonderful. This is the truth of sculpting. Some days you blow holes through things. It's just going to happen. And so, as a sculptor, as a creative person, as just a human being, you just have to roll with the punches. You have to roll with the holes. You have to fill in more holes. It'll take longer than you expect. Everything takes longer than you expected it to take. It takes, like, as human beings, we way underestimate, like, how long it takes us to do stuff. I glorify it, I think. But, yeah, you'll just blow holes through stuff. And it's just about being patient with yourself and the process. This is the process of sculpting. This is a process of creation. It's just it happens. This is part of it. And so just, again, be patient with yourself, be patient with the process. Now, I am going to take a break. I'm going to go get ready for lunch, man. Because that's also part of the process. This is really important. This is the best lesson I could probably tell you guys. Is that sometimes you need to walk away from something. Like, it's frustrating you. If it's taking longer than you expect, if it's just not turning out the way you want, don't be scared to walk away. You don't have to continue working at it until you get it. Sometimes it's more important to go take a break, take some time, take a deep breath, drink some water, and come back. I redhead. It's important to come back. Like, take that step away and come back to it. You know, just, yeah, breathe through stuff, right? Hi, Eva. Maybe just don't figure it out today. Which I'm coming back and I'm gonna weld this. The next time you see it, it's gonna look good. But it is important for you to know. Sometimes the process is frustrating. Sometimes it takes longer than you expect. Please, like, walk away from it and just, like, don't beat yourself up. That's a big part of this too. Is, like, we're all learning. Like, I've been doing this. I've been welding for 15, 16 years. I've been sculpting full time for 10 years this year. I make mistakes. I blow holes through stuff. I grind too deep. Like, I am not perfect. I need you to know that. So, like, in your creation, like, that you get it, like, just this is all, we're all just learning. And that's all it is. The only thing you can do is have fun and laugh with yourself. Have fun with it. Practice, play, figure things out. Like, what worked on this one might not work on the next sculpture. What works on this spot might not work on another spot. Just be prepared for things to not work. Be prepared for you to do a live stream and just burp and fart and be a real human being, right? Like, this is just who we are, and this is just part of being a creative human being, is being human. Just part of being human is just, look, we figure stuff out as we go, so. You'd be kind to yourself. I love that. I love that so much. Thank you. I've got a video up on my socials about from start to about where I am here a little bit. Go check it out. I am looking for new welding helmets. So if you guys are welders, have been using your helmet for a long time and really like it, would love to hear about it. Please and thank you. Thank you so much for being here, man. I love that y'all are here with me. Thank you so very much for being here with me. It means the world to me. Be excellent to yourself. Be excellent to each other. Make today a masterpiece. Stay true, live free, y'all.